passed very well, and when I had to enroll into my first cycle, I was now living with my aunt. She's my mom's big. So she normally has children who always tell me, you don't believe here, come on, we can go on a compound. Yeah, because we were not living that together. Again, we were not living in a compound. I had to transfer to where they were living. So they always talk to me. I mean, when it comes to food, I don't eat. I eat when maybe they don't eat it, or they give me a smaller portion. I have to fetch wood. I have to do everything. That's even where I learned how to be stronger. Like I told you, I'm a village boy. I can work ridges like Ngong. Somebody knows about the ridges. Yes, I can work those kind of ridges. I can weed. I can do everything when it comes to farm work. So I had no choice. I had to follow my aunt to the farm every day, do all of those chores. Sometimes my kid bros, like my cousins, they always hang around play, but I had no choice. I had to follow her, because what will you eat if at all you try to play headstrong? So that was life for me. And when I got to Form 2, it was really bad. I couldn't take it. I felt like I was being neglected, and most of the times I sit and cry when I think about mom and every good thing she did. She's always done to me. Like when you look at me today and you be like, I'm a nigga, I'm a young man, and all those kind of. I didn't learn to be like this. I grew up to discover myself like this. Yes, my mom groomed me. I don't know. I just discovered myself, tying all of these things in me. That's the truth about me. Yes. So like that person, I always see cry about mom, and I enjoyed every moment she gave me and everything she gave me. She bought everything for me. Yeah, she used to live in Makinene. She was not even in the village. So yeah, when I reached Form 2, it was too much and I couldn't take it. I had just to. There was this evening I took my stuff, so I packed in this Saxamoto. I had to write a letter. Drop just in front of the door for my aunt. I left. I went back to our compound. When I went back to our compound, the place was big, and yeah, my grandfather had a mistake wife. They were living right down. I had to check out the room up and start living there. Living alone. Life was not going. What can I eat? How can I pay my school fee? There was no way. Since I left my aunt, there's no way. Yeah, there's no way I could do. Yeah. So I started. Life was so dark. I was living in the dark, but what was cool, just I loved my school. I continued going to school, though I was a kind of stubborn type in school though. So I had to continue. From 3, I started living with my cousins. They were in the same school with me too, but they were so, because they had their parents, everything was done to them. They were so wayward, and they did everything. They were up to doing anything they can do at any time. So one was dismissed. One deliberately left school, went to the subway, started hustling. One was dismissed. I was the only person that was left. Meanwhile, my Form 3 life, I was picked in the street by. Let me say street. I was still in the village, yeah. But there was this philanthropist. Kind of a man, Grand Sami, it's Mr. Njokom Samuel, like if you're watching now, thanks a whole lot. That he picked me, started seeing through, started sponsoring me. He did everything for me. Though when I'm talking about doing everything, it was about school. It was about school. He just pays my school fee, and I get to do what I can do. Sometimes I trade from markets, do some jobs, carry stuff, just to at least buy some things for myself, because I grew up to be a kind of nigger, and I always want those kind of things. So I always try to buy those things where I can tie and look like. Yeah. So when I went to when I arrived from 5, though nobody believed in me, because I was really this kind of scattered. I was so wayward. Yeah, but I never forgot about school. Sometimes I come to the market. We live in a place where, in a village where there are market days. Sometimes I come to the market. I'll be one of the last persons to go back home. And sometimes my mates compare. They look at me to be yeah. So nobody believed, the parents and even the principal in school did not believe in me. So when the results were out, I mean the O levels, I had 7 papers, I had 3 A grades, I made it through. My principal was like, he was shocked. I had the highest points in that year in that school, and if I remember well, I was the first person that gave him an A grade in literature, and nobody ever did again. I was so proud. So when I went to my second cycle, I started live, and I went into music. I was very intelligent. There was no way, but music distracted me so much that I had to share my time with school and music. Sometimes I go for shows while they're in school. Though I was perfect, I was very clean, and because from when I live from when it's holiday time, I go with the person that sponsors me. Call him Dad. I get to help him in the farm, clear, do everything, work in the mill to at least play something when it's school time. I go back to school. So I finally had my A levels in 2015 when I had 3 papers with A levels. Yeah, all because of the music, and that's what I love, and that's what I love. That's my passion. So when I went up there, I had to go in for ENS. The concours was launched. I had to go in. Now I knew very well I was very intelligent. My godfather, he had the confidence in me. He gave me the chance. He really started. I went in. I didn't make it. I had to go back to the Southwest, struggle with him. No, he had a family, and children were he kept giving birth because that's what he wanted, and he wanted a kind of family where he would give birth and start enjoying with the family than give. So children were adding, and I was already in a kind of position that sometimes he would do everything for everybody before it comes to me. I had no choice. I was already grown, and I started hustling. So I hustled. The first time I went to Yaoundé, I went to write this forestry. That's one of my passions. I love this greenery, this green kind of forest, everything light green. It's been my life. So I came to Yaoundé to write forestry, and I raised my money, came register, did everything, but I couldn't still make it. So I decided going back to my music life. Though it's always, I used to do my music, but I just decided to take my career professional. And who give you a professional career? To go to the studio, you're supposed to at least have some money. To get to know people, you are supposed to. Showbiz is money. That's the truth about showbiz. It's money. The know-how comes after, because there are people out there that are very whack, that are off. Yes. So there was no way. What I did was, I went back to the Southwest. I had to work very hard. I had to declare Banga family, Banga Ush, every day. Lads, I did everything to make sure that I went to shows, I organized shows my own self. I had to sell petrol from Nigeria. So I sold petrol for some time before I raised some money. I had about Master Robusta, he's a con man, and I was like, this man really helped me even if I don't have up to what he expects. I was scared too. So I had to contact him, because in Yaoundé I had to contact him, we talked, and I raised what I could raise. That's the highest money I ever raised in my life. I raised the money. I traveled to Yaoundé. I handed him the money. I can remember when I went into I went to Yaoundé on the 21st of January
30 more seconds
2017. When I went to the studio, I handed everything to Master Robusta. I was just left with 20,000. So I had nowhere to go. I had nowhere to stay. I tried pleading on the manager to allow me stay with him because at least he's my boss and I'll get to learn more from him. Just be together of an eye so I can start up my own place. There was no way. She said no, so I had to go into the street. I started roaming the street. That's after my mom's death. That was one of my worst things that ever happened to my life. I felt sick. I had to start buying the sheets, these bed sprays, and going around with them in the streets. Although I was really making a life, I was going to the studio. There was no machine to help me learn very fast. So each morning I would carry my sheets on my head, go around the city. Before I go to the studio is it's a studio that many artists, many good artists, many already established artists visit. Sometimes I go very muddy and sometimes I sweat and I'm smelling and be like, what kind of a guy is this? What are you up to? And like, why is this? You understand? So they always looked at me like to be like the one kind of riff-raff in the studio. So I just had to page. I had nowhere to live. I had to beg for a house. I remember there was a time I went around for a week just living from friend to friend, or sometimes even lived in the street. I started living with one guy. There was even the house was even funny. Sometimes rain would come and soak everything in the house, but he still wanted me to leave the house. I left. I packed my box, came out to the road. There was this mom that I always come and eat at Chimu. Someone knows at Chimu, right? Mm-hmm. So she told me, bring your bag, keep it in my house. Just be there for some time. Or just, when you come back from work, just bed and try to look for where you can stay because at least I have children. And so I did that for a week. She saw it was very stressful for me. I was becoming pale and I was very sick. So she told me to come in and stay with her for some time. I started living with her. I lived with her for a month. I was planning to rent, though I needed a machine for myself to go into the studio. I had no option, so I decided I choose. The mom asked me to choose between my machine, my studio laptop, and renting a house. I chose my laptop. She got very mad at me, but since she was a person with a good heart, she just had to allow me to stay. But I bought my machine. I was living in that kind of a place, but sometimes I just try to. So there was this daughter of hers. She left Bamenda. She was in the university. Came and I don't know what happened. She just got very. She sometimes I look as if I'm disgusting to her. So I don't know if she talks to the mom or what. I don't know what happened. They had to push me out of the house. I went out. There was this Bansok man, the Bansok guy that took me in 2 months. I had to be there for 2 months before one of my guys left the Southwest. The guy left my room in Southwest. He came, we started renting a place in Bastos. I raised the money, he raised the money, we started renting a place. The place was so, when I talk about Bastos in Yaoundé it's not just Bastos. There's Bastos LOB and it's a place there, if you go in there you never want to go back there. We started renting there. Some months I started working. I started knowing some things. I started getting some projects. Like sometimes I get a project with 20Ks, 15Ks, and all of those. My boss was already working 250Ks, 300Ks. So I started managing like that, and yeah, we had to move out. We stepped up to at least a better place, of which I'm still living there now. So life has been like that, and in the studio, people used to come and record. Artists are very big and. It depends on your character and how you talk to them. So I've always been that kind of a quiet guy in the studio where I just live my life low key, and that's why I got to meet Magasco. Although I've been with Magasco in the studio for more than 2 years, but he's never been used to me because I've always been that kind of a guy. So everything you see in me, I've been trying to. I do it myself. I live in a kind of a world where if I have a problem, I have nowhere to ask for 1K. So I totally do my life. I decide my life. I decide where to go to at any time. If I decide, like talking about Biggy237, I think only my big sis knows about it, and she's the kind of person. She loves school too. She made it through. She defended her masters in Cham. Just arrested modern leaders. So what I want to say is just that I have a lot to say, and sure, there's no time. If you're grown up to be that kind of a person but I know there are families that sometimes just disown you, not because There are families that sometimes just disown you not because you're bad, but due to some kind of things. So if you grow up to be that kind of a person, no mom, no dad, an orphan in the streets, yeah, sure, just be positive. That's the truth about life. Because every negative thing you do comes back, fall back at you. So just be positive and know that this life is God has a plan for everyone, and take it the way it comes, and yeah, stay positive, and God will put you where you're supposed to be.
Please, when you hear 10 seconds more of your time, just summarize everything I have to say. Because there's too many people who have not said a word to talk.
I'm the fifth daughter of 6 children of my parents, the second girl. From Bamenda, Norwich region. I grew up in this family. I'm from a family which is not wealthy and not poor. At the same time, it was not wealthy and not poor when I was born. My dad was a driver and my mom was a trader. I grew up with my dad. We lived together, but I was always with my dad. Most of the times I was always with my dad, and my mom took care of the other siblings. I don't know, I was favored among the others. My dad favored me among the others, so he always had me by his side. When my mom took care of the others, he would do my laundry. If he has to prepare a special something for him, he'll do it for the two of us. And I was closer to him than anybody else. So I stayed that way until when I was in primary 6. My dad fell sick, and he said it was the result of him smoking while he was younger. About 10 years ago, 10 years before then, that was because of his sickness. He had to. I lost my dad. Life became something else for me because I could not even relate with my mom. Like, I could not talk to her. I hardly talked to her. The hardest I could do was and stuff like that. If I had anything to say, if I had any information from school or any assignment I had to do, I was talking like that. So I had to start struggling to live with my mom. But I was just, among all of us in the house, I'm the most favored, not because stuff for the house. Immediately my dad died, all that stuff, and my mom had to take care of the 7 of us because my dad's junior sister had a son who lived with us. That I don't know was our firstborn. I don't know like 2 years ago. That was when my dad died. So my mom had to take care of the 7 of us, to school, shelter us, feed us, do everything. So I calling her my lady. Everybody calls her in the house my lady. because she's our superwoman. My elder brothers had to stop school because they already had advanced level. All of them stopped school after advanced level so that us, the junior ones, we can further. And my mom always believed that her female children are the one who are the people that will carry her up. The 3 boys, 3 girls, and my cousin, 4 boys. So she will do everything for her girl children to go to school or have whatever they want. When my dad died, like 3 or 4 times, and there was one time she got seriously brutalized and she could not continue there. We had to sell the store. She took the money, she looked for a shop in the market to sell gari, beans, groundnut. All of us had to go to the market to shift that groundnut and do all the other things. Because before my dad died, he asked her never to let his children sell on the street. So we could only go and help her there, stay in the house. And after some time, she was struggling there. Her best friend went to the landlady of her store and she was paying 30,000 for that store, for renting the store. Her best friend went to the landlady and said she wants to pay 40,000 for that store and use it for her packet store. So they had to send my mom out. She went back to the house, she stayed in the house for some time without doing anything. All the money she was looking for something to invest in, but it was not really much because which is what my mom is doing up to date. She struggled that way and sent my elder sister to school. And when I had my advanced level, I was prepared to go to Biggy so that my school fees would be cheaper. I always wanted to go to Polytechnic and do management, but the school fees there is 350,000 pounds, I think, before renting a house. And she had to do that for my elder sister and me, but there was no money, so I decided to go to Biggy. And in Biggy, you cannot do management without having maths, ordinary level maths, and I did not have that, so I had no other choice than to apply in history. Just do history and archaeology, which is, I don't think there's something I can complete and do with history in Cameroon. So mom just asked me to go there and do that. I told them that she wanted me to follow my vocation. So I went to Biggy and looked for a house to live with my best friend. You know, be in the house alone. So got there, looked for a house, and on this morning I had to go and pay. We had to go and pay for the house and do our stuff there. My mom had a boy in her anus, and it was done already, like it was white. She could not press it herself because she cannot see from there. They asked my elder brother to do it, he refused, he was scared. They asked everybody to do it, they were scared. And I was the only person who had that courage to press that boy. Just seeing her cry it made me cry too, but the pain when the pulse was there was more than when you just had to take it out. So I had to tie my hand and press the ball. And one of our neighbors just said, with this courage that you have, why don't you do nursing? If you can take care of somebody like this. And in the house they call me mother. That's how they call me at home, because I always make sure everybody is fine before myself. So that never said, you have this caring attitude and you have the courage to do stuff like this. Why don't you do nursing instead of going to do history, which will not help you? So I was already holding my house rent in my hand. Mom had already given me. I was about to go to family. When she just said that, my mom asked me, do you want to do nursing? I just said yes. I don't know what happened, but I just said yes. I did art in secondary school. I did not do science. And I just called my best friend. I told her I will not be able to go to Bamboo today. I never told her any reason. I just told her I will not be able to go to Bamboo today. She said, okay, she should go and advance the house with her own money. Then I'll bring my own later. I said, no, she should not do that. Let me talk to mom again. That mom has not given me the money. So I left from there with the money. Mom had given me 80,000 because the house was 160,000. I was paying 88,000. I held that 8,000 and left. I went to St. Louis to look for admission there. They said the school fees was 510,000. And I could not even think twice about enrolling in St. Louis. 510,000. How come? I was going back home to tell them I don't know any other school. But my elder sister's friend said she knows about St. Jude. Let's go there and check it out. We went to St. They said registration is 25,000, school fees is 350,000, and you need to get some necessary stuff, the stethoscope and stuff. I called mom. I told her that was what they said. They said I should use that 80,000 to buy the necessities and then register the 25,000. I did immediately, and that was how I got nursing, which was not my plan. Level 1, I had to suffer like starting from the base of science to do everything, and I never had receipt, never. Level 1 to 3, I never had any receipt, despite the fact that I was an art student and I got into science just that time. So I had to do all, I had to stay with my friends. My mom said as my mom accepted that I should do nursing and the school fees was that much, she said I only have to stay at home. We all know the anxiety that we get when you leave from secondary school, you want to go and live a free life in the university. But my mom said I have to stay at home and go to school because it was really not too far from my school. From my house to school was 400 francs. That's 800 every day. I live with two. But I noticed that it was expensive instead if I had to do that. So I had to look for a friend and patch with her. But she asked me to come and stay without paying any rent because she already paid the rent. All I could do was go home every weekend and bring food. But when I went there, I was living with her. She usually bring guys to the house and they always come in pairs. Like 2 guys will come and she'll tell one to take me and she'll stay with one. I was very timid. I was even scared of guys. I was scared of relationship, something. I grew up playing with guys. I grew up having boys like my friends. I had just about 3 friends that were females and 1,000 that were male. But when it comes to this relationship side, I was scared of intimacy. So when she would bring guys and say this person should take me and the other one would be with her, I was really uncomfortable. I had to tell mom and go back home. And I usually fall sick often because the cold every morning on a bike to school, every evening, close at 5. Cold usually affect my chest, and I'm a gastric patient too. I stay in school without eating. Mom too did not want me to stay out of her side and stuff like that. I met this other group of girls, still my classmate, and we had to stay 6 of us in one room, and we had to contribute to pay the rent, 20,000 francs each per year, every year. So That was how I was living in a room for 1 year. I would pay 20,000 francs, and those were the best people I met in the university. That been my sisters all the while up till now. We separated, but we are still sisters. We even had to name ourselves. We had a mother, a father, a daughter, the first, second, third, and stuff. So I'm really happy I met these people in my life: Brenda, Nuella, Joy, Nadia, Eli. Thank you guys so much. Don't forget my best friend who had to understand with me and started from square one to look for her house back in Bambali before doing whatever she had to do. So I just want to say, in life, let's be flexible. It's not because you decided that you want to do this, or because you want to have freedom, that you do what you have to do. You just need to be flexible. Like I did, I wanted freedom in the university, like any other secondary school leaver would want. I had to just switch into nursing, which I think it has helped me so far, rather than going to do history, which will not do anything for me. Don't do what you think you have to do because you want to be free, but do what you know is going to help you in future. To all those who are waiting for the advanced level results, just think out of the box. Or if you have somebody who is bigger than you or older than you, and you think that person can give you an advice, and you think it's better than what you were thinking, just second to that, and I guess you're going to it might not be the best, but just
Hi, my name is I am from a family of 6. I have 3 siblings, older siblings, and the last child. I'm 25 years old. My story comes in 2 parts. The first part is a really gloomy and sad story that at times even scares me to talk about it, because where I found myself, things I've been through, people can be really judgmental without even getting to know me better. Growing up, I was always different from your typical guy, always hang out with girls, was feminine. I couldn't even say feminine when I was growing up because it haunted me. I felt this gnawing sound inside my stomach instead I said it. I was very different, very feminine, constantly bullied by people, called names, insulted, and told trash. Like, it was okay. So one day where I was completely turned like into pieces, I had a conversation with my brother, the one that I followed. I had a conversation with him because he was very wayward. So we always had to fight about issues. So I was hitting the knee hard, and he got defensive and called me Biggy. Honestly, in my life, I've never heard that word. Like, I was basically in primary school. I've never heard that word, like, ever in my life. So when he called me gay, I was intrigued. I went to the dictionary because I love books. I went to the dictionary and I saw the meaning. A man who is sexually attracted to another man. I was like, this motherfucker was so dumb, but he knew the word gay, and I don't know. And like, with the fact that your own brother called you that name, gay, labeled to call you gay, it means like you don't have any purpose in this life. Like, it completely destroyed me. Like, up to date, I feel like I still hate him. I hate him so much. A part in my life where I need to speak up because I need to inspire people, because many people out there who are different, so I need to inspire them. Then made matters was where, like, I was open to the way, like, when he insulted me that, like, shots were coming from everywhere, like the same word, like, where is it really coming from? My mind was just open. I was so aware, like my self-esteem dropped from here to here. I almost committed suicide. I remember one time I took a knife, went behind our house, and wanted to stab myself because my life wasn't worth living. Like, if people saw you kind of way that you never saw yourself because you were different kind of way, then it means you don't have to live. Like, they constantly condemned me. I was bullied in school, secondary school, bullied by people, even with an axe. Like, stop working with girls, but that was just me. I could not really change. And it's not as if I wanted to be friends with girls. They always come closer to me, so I couldn't say, no, I don't want to be friends with you because of somebody. So, from five, I failed for the first time. I did not even read, so I don't really care about that. I failed for the first time. I had 3 papers. And my mom told me that she's very disappointed in me. Like, that's somebody that was my all. Like, somebody who never judged me with my dad, who never judged me.